Alright, and welcome back to a new video by the Xcode platform. I'm Johan and I will be your host in this video. And in this video we're actually going to do something that has been requested a few times by a few of my followers. And in this video we are going to learn how we can actually create a user using Firebase and how we can actually use that for authentication. And we're actually going to add one more thing to this, and we're actually also going to learn how we can create a database user, so how we can actually add a user to our database. Okay, so this video is going to be 2 or 3 parts. The first part is setting up Firebase and building a simple UI, and after that we're actually going to add the functionality with which we can actually create a user. So, if you guys are ready, let's get started. So what I want you to do, go to console.firebase.google.com. If you don't have an account yet, create an account. So pause the video and make an account. If you're already logged in like me, then let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do, go to your Firebase projects. As you can see, I have a few. And I'm going to go to add project. And the project name is going to be dev scorch, and I'm gonna call this YouTube tutorial. Perfect. Continue. I don't need Google Analytics, I think. No, I don't. Create project. So this can take a little while. In the meantime, we're actually gonna open up Xcode, creating an Xcode project, an iOS app, and we are going to use UIKit and storyboards, and we're going to call this Firebase YouTube tutorial. You can give it another name if you want, just do what you want. So you go to next, make sure you have storyboard selected, and I'm going to add it here to my iOS folder. Okay, this one is ready. Okay. So welcome to the console of Firebase, and we now are in the project hierarchy, on the project overview. So here you actually have all the information that you want of your system. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to open up iOS here. So we need the iOS bundle identifier. So first we're going to open up Xcode. And this is the bundle identifier. So in my case it's com.devscorch.firebase YouTube tutorial. App nickname doesn't matter. App store ID doesn't matter. We're going to do register app. Make sure that the iOS bundle ID is the same as in the Xcode project, otherwise this is not going to work. So we're going to download the Google Services info.plist. Perfect. And we're actually going to drag this one inside our project. Copy items if needed. Yes. Okay. So we did that. The next thing we're going to do, we go to our view controller. You know what? Let's first go to the storyboard. Let's create an easy user interface where we can actually do something. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so we're really going to create an easy user interface. So we're not going to build something really beautiful or something. We're just going to build something that we can actually use for the creation of our user. Okay, so first thing we need is a label. And we're going to put it in here. And we're going to give the label a value of my awesome Firebase user creation app. Let's drag it into the middle. I'm going to change user to user. Okay, let's constrain this. So we're going to constrain this. Let's constrain this 70 from the left, 70 from the right, and 100 from the top. Add 3 constraints. We're not going to work with stack views today. We're just going to focus most of the time on our Firebase system. but we just need a simple user interface so that we actually know what we are doing. So the next one is going to be a text field. Let's drag it onto here. Let's Command C, Command V. Okay, let's select both of them. Let's give them a width of 450. No, that's too much. 300 maybe. Okay, let's drag them and let's actually put them here. So we're going to select the first text field, and we're going to give this a placeholder text of email. The second one is going to be password. Okay, let's also constrain these two. So let's do 90 from the top, 75 from the left, 75 from the right, or 57, no, 75, 50, 57 from the left and from the right. And the second one, the same thing. So 57 from the left, 57 from the right, 44 from the top. And now we need an easy button. So button, let's throw in a button. And let's give this a title of save new user. Perfect. Okay, let's constrain this really quick. 156, 156 and 66, perfect. Okay, just a disclaimer, the reason why we actually build a really simple UI here is so that we, instead of me creating a user interface and send it to you guys so you can use it, is so that you can actually also practice a little bit your constraining, like how I do it, so you can see how I constrain my applications. That is something that I find really important. Okay, so let's open up a second editor. I'm going to open a view controller. And in here, we're going to control drag our objects. So the first one is going to be email text field. And the second one is going to be password text field. Okay, perfect. Okay. So we did that. What we're going to do now, we're actually going to check where our system is. So in my case, it's development, iOS, Firebase YouTube tutorial, and here, right? Okay, so I'm going to open up terminal, cd, and we're actually going to cd inside the we're actually going to cd inside the folder where our application resides. Okay, so now we're actually going to do something that is called Cocoapods. In an earlier video, you actually, if you watch it, you learned how we can actually install Cocoapods and how we can actually add new pods to our system. So I'm not going to explain to you now how to install Cocoapods. If you haven't done that yet, I will link a URL in the description below where you can actually see how we do that. So first thing we do, we're going to do pod init. What this does is actually create a pod file inside our project folder. That's this one. Then we're going to do sudo nano and pod file password. Okay, so this is how the pod file looks. You have here some comments, platform, iOS 9. You don't have to change this, nothing happens when you do. And under here, we're actually going to add our pods. So what we're going to do, pod. And the first one is Firebase, Firebase-core. Second one is going to be pod Firebase-auth. And next but not least is pod Firebase dash, I think it was database, yes, database. Okay, so now we're going to do Command O, enter, Command X, and now we can do pod install. And now the pods are getting installed, as you can see. It's retrieving all the Firebase systems that we need. Now we're going to close up this project. And we're actually going to open up the new Xe workspace. And when you work with pods, like Cocoapods, you actually have to work inside the Xe workspace. Otherwise your pods won't be initialized and won't work. So let's open this up. Okay. So first thing we're going to do, we do a right click here on Firebase group here. And we're going to do new file. And we're going to open up Swift file. And we're going to call this user database model. Create. Okay. So this is the database model. When we work with REST API, so like your own REST API or Firebase, you actually create models so that you actually know what the information is and how you can actually manipulate the information. So what we need here, we're going to create a structure, so struct, and we're going to call this user. Open this up, and we're going to do let name is equal to string, let password, development string, and I see we actually don't need name, so we're actually just going to do email. Okay, perfect. Yes. So what we're going to do now, above struct, we're actually going to create as a class, and this is going to be a final class. And what a final class, what that means, when a class is finalized, it's actually a class that can't be changed anymore in the future. So that means that when you call a class and you want to change some variables or some constants in it, it's actually not possible. And we're going to call this database API. Gonna open it up, and in here we're gonna do static let shared is equal to database API, and the second one is going to be a private var of a private let. And what private let means, when it's a private, it actually means that it's only possible to be used by the file where the private constant is residing in, right? And this is going to be database. It's equal to. Okay, now we have to go back to our system here. We did all this. Okay, so let's see if we can actually find the URL to our database. I think, yeah, we need the real-time database here. That's this one. We're going to create a database. And in my case, we're going to put it in Belgium. If you are from the United States or somewhere else, just do it there. So we're going to create start mode of test mode. This means that everything is accepted to be read and write. Don't do this when you are working in production. But if you are starting in testing mode like we do, you can actually do that. So start, create, now it's creating a database. Okay, so as you can see, we have here URL. We're actually gonna copy this one. Go back to our thing here. And this is gonna be, first we have to import Firebase database, so import Firebase database, and after that we're going to do private let database is equal to database dot database URL, and the URL that we're going to paste in here, and after that we're going to do dot reference. Okay, so what we did here, we imported the Firebase database pod. So this means now we can actually work and manipulate the database that we have created inside our Firebase instance. And we created a static let of shared. We're going to use that later. And after that we have a private constant of database is equal to database.database and the URL. And this is actually the URL to our database. So now our application knows when it wants to connect to a database, that is the URL we need, right? Okay, so under there, we're going to create an extension. So we're going to do extension database API. And we're actually going to create our first user. So let's see. We're gonna do the database user part, and after that the authentication part. So let's do public func post new user with user double point user. So this is actually this struct, right, what we have here, comma, we're going to add a completion handler, add escaping. We're actually gonna escape with a bool, and in here we're gonna do void. Okay, so we created our public function of post new user, and we ended with void, but we actually have to check if an email exists. So what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna change our email address a little bit, because the way how we save our email to the database is actually not good practice when we want to retrieve it. So we're actually going to create a small little hack where we actually change the email system to a more better readable system. So in this case, we're actually going to use replacing occurrences that has been standard in Swift. So what we're going to do, for check email is string. After that, var checked email is equal to email dot replacing occurrences of, that's going to be a dot, and we're actually going to replace that with a dash or with a minus sign. Oh, after that, we're going to do checked email is equal to checked email dot replacing occurrences, and we're going to add here the monkey tail, so the at, and we're actually going to replace this also with a minus sign, and after that we're going to do return checked email. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to the sample that I made. Okay, so first thing we're going to create now, above post new user, we're actually going to create a new function, and we're actually going to use this to check if an email address is already inside the database, and if the email already exists, then we can't post a new user, but if the email doesn't exist, we actually can create a new user. So what we're going to do, public func check if email exists. I think I wrote this wrong. Yes. And we're going to do this with email. And this is going to be a string. And we're going to actually add a completion, add escaping. Oh, I forgot the double points there. Escaping. Actually going to add a bool here. Then we're going to need throw. I'm going to throw void. Perfect. Open it up. Okay. So we're going to do var checked email. And we're actually going to do the same as we did here before. We're going to do email dot replacing occurrences, and this is going to be dot. We're going to change that with dash. After that, checked email is equal to checked email dot replacing our occurrences, and we're actually gonna change the monkey tail, so the at with dash or the with minus. And now we're gonna do database.child, and this is gonna be checked email dot observing single event of dot value and we're gonna dot value, and we actually don't need this one here, so we're actually gonna delete this one, and we're gonna write here with then parentheses, and we're actually gonna do I know up here we're gonna do snapshot in guard snapshot dot value as string is not equal to nil, else completion is false. And after that we're going to do return. No, that's wrong. We're actually going to add the return here, and this one is going to be completion true. Okay, so we actually did a lot of things here. So what we did, we do actually the same as here before. We actually change the checked email. We actually change the dots with the minus sign, and we also do the monkey tail or the at with a minus sign. And after that we actually do a database.child dot observing single event. So what this means, every time the function is called, it's actually going to observe the event to the database and actually going to check if it's in there. And what this does, it's take a snapshot, and the snapshot dot value as a string, so that is the checked email which we are checking if it exists, is not equal to nil, else. If it's not equal to nil, it's going to be completion false, so this means the email exists. And if it doesn't exist, we actually get a completion true back, and this means that we can actually do something new. Okay, so after that we go back to our post new user, and what we're going to do here, we're going to do database.child, and this is going to be user.checked email, so that is this one, right? So there's this checked email that we used here, and we actually call the user, we call the struct user, and then we check the email. After that we're going to do set value, we're going to add an array, so I'm going to open this little bit up. Let's put this on the next line. Yeah, this looks better. So the first thing we're going to do is going to be email, double point, and this is going to be user.email. Oh, we actually created a dictionary, sorry. Okay, after that, comma, with completion block, and inside the completion block we're going to open up parentheses, and we're going to do error in guard, error is equal to nil, else we do print database write failed, and this is going to be a completion of false, and after that we're actually going to add a return. Okay, and on the next line, so a second, for 2 arguments but one was used. I see already, I see it. So after error we actually need a comma, and we actually need a dash, and of the lower dash, and the lower dash is actually unnamed because we are not using it, but the function actually expects 2 different values, So we have error, comma, under dash, and this is just so that we can silence the error. So what we tried here, we do database.child user, and we do checked email dot set value. So we try to set the value, but we say here user.email. We actually have to change this to checked email with completion block, error, and here it checks if the error is equal to nil, or make of a guard error is equal to nil, else. So if the guard error is not equal to nil, it actually does a completion is false and it returns an error. And else, it actually is going to do self.database.child users dot observing single event, and the single event is going to be of dot value, and we're actually going to delete the end previous siblings because we don't need that one, and we're going to do width. Going to open up parentheses. In here we're going to do snapshot in if var email is equal to snapshot.value as, oh wait, we have to we change this, we change email to users as, then we're gonna create a dictionary of string double point string, so it actually expects a string with the value of string. Open parentheses, let new element equals, oh, this is going to be email double point user dot checked email. Perfect. And under there we're going to do user dot append new element, and under there we're actually going to do self dot database dot child users dot set value new element comma with completion, no, wait a second, we have to put that in here, with completion block error comma under dash in guard error is equal to nil, else completion false, return. And as last but not least, under here we're going to add completion is true. Okay, then we're gonna go to this parentheses, so the parentheses that's actually closing the fr users, else let new collection double point string hey string is equal to it's going to be email double point user dot checked email type string. Okay, we can actually take this one away because it's just one simple dictionary with an email inside. Yeah, we know we're going to use that later. And under there we're actually going to do self dot database dot child users dot set value new collection, comma with completion block error, comma underscore in card error is equal to nil, else completion is false. We're going to do a return. Okay, and after that we're actually gonna close this up with a completion of true. So this was actually a really big function. It is possible that you are a little bit confused, but this is actually how we post a new user to our database. So let me see. So what we did here, we call the self database of child users. We actually observe it, and we check the value. We return a snapshot. And if our user snapshot the value as, and this means that it actually retrieves a full dictionary of users, and this is actually the new element, and it actually appends a new element of email user.checked email to our new element. And in here we're actually going to check if the element is there. If the completion is false, the element is already there. If it's true, then it's not there. And in here we actually do the same, but then we do it with the collection, and we actually add a new collection to the database itself. So let's clean this up a little bit. All right, so we actually finished the new post user, and now we're actually going to write our system where we can actually add or actually register a new user. So let's go to view controller, and as you can see, we actually don't have the IB outlet here yet for the button. So let's go to main.storyboard. Let's open up a second editor. And in here we're actually going to open up our view controller. Okay, and we're actually going to control drag the button over here under the view did load. And we're actually going to call this register button tapped. Okay, and under there we're actually going to create a new function, and this function is going to be register new func register new user. Okay, perfect. Okay, so above here we're actually going to do import Firebase auth. We're going to do import Firebase database, and now we're actually going to write a register function. That is going to do, we're going to do database API dot shared dot check if email exists with email text field dot text. He's probably, oh, wait a second. Let's create two constants here. So let email is equal email text field dot text, and let password equals password text field dot text. And we're actually going to change this to email. Why is it yelling? Oh, it wants email. Okay. So let's force unwrap this for now. It's not great. It's not a great way of doing it, but this way we actually make sure that it works. Okay. So we're gonna do a completion, and now we're actually gonna go into something that is called the way how to program. So we're actually gonna make sure that our app is not gonna use a lot of memory. So we're actually gonna use weak self. And how this works, we're gonna create an array, weak self, exists in. Oh, wait a second, we forgot something. Weak self exists in. And now we're going to do guard let strong self equals self, else return. Okay, so what we actually do here, weak self, we actually make the function a weak self. So this means that it doesn't stay loaded inside the memory. So the moment the system has been used, or the function has been used and it has been successful, it actually purges it from the memory, so we actually don't use a lot of memory. One of the biggest problems using Firebase is that you actually use a lot of memory when working with this. Okay, so we're going to do guard exists, exclamation marks exists, else strong self dot oh, wait a second, we didn't write our error message system yet, huh? Let's write a really easy error message system. So func error message development string. So we're going to do let alert is equal to UI alert controller title is going to be error, and the message is going to be message, and the preferred style is going to do dot alert. Then we're going to give this a function, so we're going to do alert dot add action, and this is going to be a UI alert action. The title is going to be okay. Then we're going to do style, it's going to be dot cancel, and handler is going to be nil. And under there we're going to do present alert animated is true, and we're actually going to true, and we're going to delete the completion altogether because we don't need it. Okay, perfect. So under here, so back to guard exists else, we're going to do strong self dot error, and the message is going to be this email already exists, please use another email address. Now this is perfect, right? Okay, and under there we're going to do return. So under the guard we're going to do Firebase auth dot create user with email. This is going to be email. Password is going to be password, and the completion is going to be parentheses auth results, comma error in. So what this means, we expect auth results and an error. So we expect two results to come back when we do this. So in this case, we're going to do guard let auth results is not equal to nil, comma error is equal to nil, else return. And under there, oh, what's this? Variable binding and a condition requires an initializer. Does it now, huh? Oh, wait a second, we don't need the let, just guard. Ah, I wrote it wrong. Auth result, oh. auth results, return, and under there we're going to do database API dot shared dot post new user with email, and the completion, it's going to be the completion, that is going to be parentheses success in, then it's going to be that user is equal to, what's this, equals user and this is going to be email. Okay, so as you can see, we can convert this. So what we're going to do, we're going to do user, email is going to be email, and password, oh, we don't want to post a password. So what we're going to do, we're going to delete the password here, and we're actually going back to our user database model, and we're going to actually delete the password from our struct users, so that we are sure that we can see the password that we actually save to the database, right? Because that is bad practice and it's bad for safety as well. So we're going to delete this one as well. That is email, that is okay. What is this? Okay, so let user is equal to user's email. And we're actually gonna do a print statement here. So print and new user is created. Perfect. So this is perfect. Let's start up an iPhone. So in my case, I'm gonna open up an iPhone 12. And the first thing we're gonna do, we're actually gonna call this function inside our register button tabbed. So register new user. And now when we tap the button, we actually should have some information there. Okay, so as you can see, the system has been running now. So let's see if we can test this. So I'm gonna do Johan at devscorch.com, and my password is gonna be test12345. And let's see if we can save the user. Save user. I'm sure this is gonna crash. I think I forgot something. Yes, there it is. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Oh, wait a second. I already know what. We forgot something. We forgot something really important. Let's go to the app delegate, and inside the in here. So inside the first one, did finish launch with options. We actually first we're gonna import Firebase. So import Firebase, and under here we're actually gonna do Firebase app dot configure, and I think this was everything we need to do. So let's rerun this and let's test this one more time, and let's go. So Johan at devscorch.com, test12345, and let's post this. And theoretically this should work. Let's refresh this. Let's see if something was created. And there wasn't. So let's see if the user was created. I think we first have to activate something. So we go to authentication, we click on get started in firebase.google.com. This is actually something that I totally forgot. Let's enable this, save. Okay, let's restart the application. And let's see if this works now. So let's do, email is going to be test12345. Oh, no, email is going to be Johan at test.com, test12345, save user. Let's see if something happened. Yes, so as you can see, Now we have our user, johan@test.com. Let's create another one. So let's do Clentric@test. Let's save that one as well. Let's refresh. And as you can see now, we have the second one here as well, Clentric@test.com. But what happened if we push this one more time? Let's check. Nothing happens. You see that? So because the system already knows it's in there, we don't have to worry about creating double users. So let's see what happens if we go to our real-time database. And as you can see, it's in here. Pretty cool, right? So as you can see, we have Clentric@test.com, johan@test.com, and users. Pretty cool. So I think this is going to be the end of this video. This was actually what was requested, so that we can so how to create a database user, and how you can authenticate. If you guys find this interesting, you actually want a follow-up video where we're actually gonna help people log in, please let me know. I'm happy to make that video as well. If you have questions, make sure to ask them down in the comments. And yeah, if you like this video, give me a like, give me a comment. If you want, please share the video. And if you didn't already, please give me a follow, so that we can actually hit the 1,000 users before the end of the year. And yes, as stated. See you next time, and I'm signing out.